Yo, what's going on, everybody? Artero, thank you for the follow, man. Appreciate you, homie. What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Welcome to the chat, guys. Lana, good to see you. Trauma, hope you had a good meal. Artero, what's going on, man? Shade, good to see you in here. How is everybody doing today, my friends, my beautiful friends? Winter, what's going on, man? Man, we have a pretty sick podcast for you guys today. I'm not going to lie. This is going to be awesome. So as you can see, we are featuring the band City of Sound today. But as you probably noticed from the title, we have our first guest today. So here in a couple minutes, we're going to get him on here. But I just wanted to say what's up to you guys. And just let you know that we are going to have a really awesome show today. I'm very excited because this is actually the first interview I've done when it comes to this podcast, and really at all. But being a musician, I don't think it's going to be all that difficult, if I'm being totally honest. What's going on, Winter? Sean, how's it going, man? So yeah, City of Sound, this is actually the band that you're hearing right now underneath me talking. Hopefully you can actually hear the music. But yeah, alright, so good, fam. How we doing? Bro, we're doing good, man. I'm excited. It's been a good start to the week, good couple days. Long days at work, but you know, that's what we get paid for, right? Bitch lasagna? No way, that's your name. That's amazing. Oh, that's fantastic. Alright, okay, so, like I said, City of Sound, Artist of the Week. They're playing right now. We have Jordan from the band, so let's go ahead. And, Jordan, if you want to unmute, my friend, you're more than welcome to.
Hey, what's up, baby?
Yo, what's going on, man?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We'll see if chat can.
Oh, okay, good.
But I'm sure they can.
Make sure it's all working.
Yes, sir. Look at that face. Yeah, I know, man. I'm just gonna tell you right now, there are people like you. It's not fair. How you are a good-looking man. I'm just gonna throw that out there. It's not fair, man. Like you're just one of those people. And you can sing your ass off.
I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to react to that, but
no, you're good, bro.
Thanks.
Alana
I just
says,
stay hydrated.
You should stay hydrated. There you go. You hear that? That's how you
water.
Stay looking young and keep the jawline fresh. Is just to keep drinking water.
That's
all
the
day,
secret,
every day.
baby.
All right, Rusty Angels, what's going on, man? Alana says,
what's going on, chat?
He has that Superman look going.
Oh, I had a funny story about that, actually. Something that happened a little while ago, but
you're more than welcome to tell it, bro. You do have a Henry Cavill thing going. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I got asked if I was him on a bus in Los Angeles, and I was very kind to the lady, and I just let her know. I was like, I don't think he takes the bus. So
probably true. Superman probably does not take the bus in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not him.
Yeah. Oh, we actually
How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing great, brother. I'm happy to have you. Thank you for being here.
This is our first time ever even talking to each other. I literally just followed you up on the old Twitters.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, me and Jordan talked for maybe a minute, about 5 minutes ago, just to set this up. Yeah. And then this is our first time talking to each other. Rusty A, appreciate you, man. Have a good night. But yeah, hey, so we're gonna start this out. I've got some pretty general interview questions, but like I said in the Discord chat a couple days ago, if we get on a tangent or something like that, that's totally cool. This is very free form.
Yeah.
No stress.
And I'm super open book too, baby. So like, ask me whatever you want.
Sweet.
And I appreciate you having me on to promote the band too, dude. I really appreciate it.
Man. We're very excited. Like I said, I hadn't heard of you guys before but I'm
Hmm.
happy that I have heard of the band now
Nobody has.
because yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, man, I love the vibe. It's very I love how raw the drums are. Um,
Cool, man. Thank you.
and dude, your voice is insane. I'm just gonna throw that out there right now.
Oh,
Like
thank you.
after listening to the songs, I think it was I wrote a couple down because I'm not good with like new song names,
Hmm.
but I think it was God's Acre and Aurora.
Okay, cool.
Like
God's Acre is my favorite song that we have.
yeah, like it highlights your voice a lot, and
Hmm.
it definitely needed to because your voice is insane.
Oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate. That's really sweet. Like, look
So
at you already giving me the compliment.
hey,
The interview
man,
hasn't even started
yeah,
yet.
what am I here for? You know, that's why they don't pay me anything to do this. Magna
I
Calicio,
love it.
yes, we're gonna get actually into a few songs here in a bit, but real quick. So just a couple general questions.
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
What first got you into wanting to do music?
I got I was 18, I think. 18, 19, and I had already been playing drums for a couple years, but I wasn't really pursuing music at all. And I got like a really bad injury. And I had a failed surgery, and then I had another failed surgery. I was going to be basically like never going to recover permanently, but it was going to be about 8 months until I could be like active again, if that makes sense.
Right.
And in my parents' house, there was this really old, like beat up, out of tune piano, like missing keys, like just totally like just beaten and
Yeah.
like just absolutely destroyed. And I just started sitting down and I just started kind of playing some stuff on the piano. And then I just kind of leaned into it and I really realized just how much I enjoyed it. It kind of pulled me into like a whole nother world. And kind of let me I think escape I think the circumstance that I was in.
Right.
And it really, I mean, it just became my love basically. And then, yeah, I ended up going to school for music and then now, I am where I am.
Nice. So you said 18, so you started pretty late, like more like later than people usually start when it comes
Yeah.
to being so deep into music.
Yeah, I started very late. I mean, I wasn't even like really, really singing until I was probably 18, 19 years old. And
Yeah.
even then I didn't want to like start my own band. I wanted to, even when I went to school, I wanted to do film scoring.
Hmm.
And that was kind of my passion. And then, obviously things slowly adapt and change and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Sick, man. That's awesome. So did you go to school for like vocal performance or?
I actually went to school. So I went to a school. It was like a classical program. And I actually did guitar in the first semester.
Okay.
I don't know why. I have no idea why. And then I did vocal piano the next semester. In that first year. Yeah, and then I ended up going from there to another school. I kind of transferred out, and then I ended up doing music, and then I ended up dropping out because I was like, I had decided I wanted to start my own band, and I realized that was my passion. And then so I came home, went up to Chicago, and basically Chicago inspired me to do City of Sound, and then a whole lot of other cities were possible places to move to, and I ended up in LA.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not uncommonly. That's how it goes. For many people, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. It's just I just like living in Texas and always being in small towns and stuff. I've never lived in a big city,
Mhm.
and I don't think I ever could. I've been to LA, and it just
Yeah, you're speaking to my soul right now because I'm I'm born in Illinois, raised in Indiana, and I am not I guess like I'm not like a city boy.
Mhm.
So in terms of like Los Angeles, it's definitely not the city for me. But the one thing I always tell people when moving out to Los Angeles is find your crew, like your family, and surround yourself with good people.
Right.
Because you're probably only going to have really, really close relationships with about 5 people out
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Because
For
if
sure.
you don't, this city will absolutely eat you alive.
Mm-hmm.
And it will just make you depressed, and it will make you just feel like you're like you can never get away and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like LA is made bearable by the people that you have around you.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I just went home a few months ago and just like went out to the woods. for a weekend to
Yeah.
write and like get like a vision for the next album and all that stuff. So you're definitely speaking to my heart. I totally relate to you on that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, well, I'm originally from California, but I'm from
Oh, okay.
I'm from Mount Shasta, which I'm not sure if you know where that's at, but it's
Mm-mm.
way up north, about an hour from Oregon. So mountains.
Okay, so you're NorCal.
Oh yeah, way NorCal.
Love
Um,
NorCal.
yeah,
Yeah.
so trees, mountains, snow. Like when I moved here to Texas, and I told people that I was from, because I moved here right before my sophomore year of high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I told people I was from California. They were like, "Oh, do you surf? Like, are you from LA?" I'm like,
Of
"Nope,
course.
not even close, man. I'm about an 11-hour drive from there, but sure."
Right.
But I was like, I mean, I snowboard if that's close enough to surfing.
Yep.
So probably the most question that you've most likely been asked, or at least I know as a musician, we've been asked a lot. But where did the name City of Sound come from?
Yeah, you know what? It's actually funny. I think that's actually the first time I've ever been asked that in an interview.
Oh, I think the world might explode.
Yeah,
Apparently.
no BS. Yeah, no BS. Like it's the first time I've ever actually been asked that. So that's a good question. When I was in school, kind of deciding what I wanted to do, after my third year, and it was either like stay in and kind of do something that I wasn't really in love with, or I could kind of go after this idea that I wanted to create like my own band, and I wanted to try to create kind of this like cinematic sound, that I loved. And I ended up kind of realizing I wanted to make a band that made people feel like they were always like in a movie, like they were always like in like a story. And I really just wanted to make music that made people want to beat the shit out of life.
Fair enough.
Is it okay if I swear on here?
Absolutely.
I'm just making sure.
Fuck yeah, dude. Go ahead.
All right. My mom's probably watching this, so sorry, mom.
Sorry,
Um,
mom. I'll
so
try not to drop too many f-bombs. I promise.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so, um, City of Sound, I was kind of in this place. I think at that moment, I had kind of felt like the world was moving into into like a very tribal place. And I could kind of feel that things were going to start getting very extreme and people were going to really start digging their toes in. And I just kind of felt like that was going to happen. And I was walking around Chicago and I was trying to figure out what to do. And I really just wanted to kind of create this idea. It's gonna sound super pretentious, but I was walking around Chicago and I was thinking of all these different people that live in the city that have differing opinions, different perspectives, different experiences, and the further unwillingness of all of us to hear each other's experiences, perspectives, opinions.
For sure.
And it kind of just led me to this idea of like, what would this city sound like? And what would I was in Chicago, so it was like thinking about like, what would Chicago sound like? But in terms of like the human experience, what would that sound like? And that city that you're journeying to, like that final destination, what would that sound be like? And that's kind of where it came from. And yeah, I don't really know how I mean, you actually are the first one to ever ask me that. So I think that's the first time I've ever had to develop
Wow.
an answer.
That was a deep as hell answer, and I enjoyed that very much. That's an
Oh,
awesome
okay.
story.
I couldn't tell.
No, like, cause I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like, I have a band. My band is called Doubting Thieves. We're like weird, cause you see, when I was talking to you right before we started for the minute, it was like you didn't know how to describe your band or genre, put them in a genre.
Yeah.
I'm the exact same way, cause it's like metal with pop and jazz and R&B and weird stuff like that. But our name, creating it, is literally the exact opposite. Like, we had a name and it was terrible, and then and then our guitarist was like, "Hey, Doubting Thieves is kind of cool." I was like, "Yeah, that is kind of cool. All right, cool. That's the band name." Like, there's no like deeper meaning, so it's nice to like hear that there was an actual influence. Because I mean, with a name like City of Sound, there has to be. I feel like that doesn't just come from nowhere.
Yeah, and hey, you need to shoot me your band on Discord, dude. I didn't. What do you play in your band?
I play drums.
Oh shit, sick, dude. Send me your band link after this.
All right, we'll do. One Upton, thank you for the raid, bro. Appreciate you. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great stream. So yeah, and actually, one of these questions I was actually really interested in, because being a musician and writing music, it was like, what is y'all's creative process? Does it start with you? Does it start with the band? I know you mentioned that you took a weekend back in the woods to just write some lyrics and stuff like that. And so where does it kind of start with you guys when it comes to the music side of things?
Yeah, so I guess a little bit of a breakdown of the band. So we have 3 main members. So we're a trio. Our violinist Lacey, Andrew our guitarist, and then me. I play piano and sing. Excuse me. So basically, kind of how it works is, so Andrew and I produce everything up together. Basically, we kind of run it like both Andrew and I are producers, but he's like producer engineer, I'm producer songwriter. And in terms of like broad vision, in terms of like, hey, here's the album, it's usually I come up with a lot of really crazy ideas. I sit the band down and they kind of are like, no, yes, that's dumb. That could work. Kind of like sifting through my chaotic mind of what I'm kind of envisioning for like what we're going to do next.
Yeah, for sure.
And then usually and I'm a lot of my songwriting, I mean, a lot of it's inspired by historical events, social commentary. I am, a lot of, fantasy, I'm a big dork, in all reality. I mean, it's true. So that's where actually a lot of the inspiration kind of comes from. I usually try to kind of tie in anything, I guess, like anything that's a historical commentary, anything I try to tie it in with like a modern day, perspective, like that song, the Magna Colosseo, that I think someone must have said something like that's that exact kind of thing. So I mean I guess I would say, I want to say in a way that like also like shines on like my bandmates. Like, yeah, the creative process starts with me, but at the end of the day, it ends up taking all of us,
right? Of course,
to finish it and to like come up with like the sound that we have.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the creative process does start with me, but at the same time, I would never be able to come up with the sound or the overall like wall of like raw power that I think some of our songs have without my 2 bandmates.
Yeah, for sure. No, I totally agree, because our guitarist writes, everything starts with him. He writes, because he plays drums as well. So he'll write guitar parts with, and then he'll program some drums to them. And then Dylan, our vocalist, will toss them some, lyrics together and kind of some melodies and whatever, try to piece it together. And then pretty much right before we go to the studio, not right before, but like a little bit before we go to the studio, I'll write drum parts that are just a little more creative, because Brandon's a really good drummer. So like I don't have to do a ton of stuff, which is nice. My job's pretty fucking easy.
Yeah.
But like, I'll make it a little more flary and, add some fills and whatnot, but nothing too crazy. So I totally agree. Like, or I hear where you're coming from, where it starts with one person and then it just branches out to where everybody can put their flavor in it.
Yeah, I usually come in, I'll either have a bunch of lyrics written out and a whole melody, and then I'll play it on piano. And then Andrew and I will get in, and then he'll start throwing some like roaring guitars down, and Lacey will start coming with some violin lines, and then her and I will get together and we'll do kind of a violin session to really orchestrate everything, and then we all just get together and put the whole vision behind it. I mean, that's pretty much always the process. That's pretty much how it works.
Yeah, that's sick. And actually that makes me really happy, because listening to the songs, obviously you can hear the strings in it because they're very prominent. So it's cool to hear that she's actually in the band, and it's not just like either a session artist or program stuff. That's really awesome.
Yeah, no, Lacey is we call her Nova on Lacey Nova. Her stage name's Nova. But she's like Andrew and I always joke that like she kind of brings like kind of like the beauty and lightness to our songs, like where we have like the piano does too, but more in a sense like dynamically the piano kind of can pull everything down from like roaring guitars and this huge sound, but where we can implement her into like these huge choruses, and she kind of allows us like transience and lift onto the moment to make it feel even more like kind of a wall of sound. I think she just really adds like an emotional depth to what we're trying to capture in every song.
Right. Yeah, for sure. No, that's great. Yeah, and you can tell because a lot of times strings will be synth or MIDI, because no one can usually no one can afford to hire a studio like violin player or cello player. But hearing the strings in y'all's songs, it's very clear that they're not artificial, because there's I'm trying to think of the word, like a vibration and an airiness that the strings give, and you can tell that it's natural and real.
Yeah, there's a tone and an emotion that an actual player can capture that
exactly.
you just cannot get on sample pack.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. So, real quick, so that we can kind of highlight a song real quick. What is your favorite song to perform?
Oh, to perform. So the thing is, because of COVID, so we just released our debut album in January. So we have like 6 songs we haven't performed live yet. Which is an issue because I know a couple of them are probably my favorite ones to perform.
Right.
My favorite one to perform right now that like we have played, it's probably Odyssey, the Magna Colosseo, or God's Acre.
Okay.
That are my favorite to perform.
Okay, so let's see.
They're just like bangers in their own right, and like
no,
our listeners at shows are just absolutely like they're like animals. So like when those songs go off, they just like go so hard, and I love that shit. Like it's so good.
There's a different you know, because as someone who started going to shows, or I should say didn't start going to shows till I was probably 14, actually maybe even 16, and I've mostly gone to metal shows. You know, there's a reason people go crazy at those. Bad Bubble King, appreciate the follow, man. Golden Noodle, appreciate you. There's a reason that people go crazy for those, but when it comes to music like y'all's, like there's a different vibe that happens when it's played live, and that's a whole different reason.
And I actually love what you said. So what my initial inspiration is metalcore, hardcore. I mean, that's what I grew up with.
Nice.
And that atmosphere at like a live show, with our, you know, like our stuff obviously is not that. You know, most people compare us to Coldplay. But in terms of a live show, you know, lyrically, like I think if you look through our lyrics, you can definitely see like many of like the metal inspirations. I think just in kind of how I write, but in terms of our live show, I wanted to bring that same kind of emotion that I felt growing up, going to a hardcore show or a metal show. And I wanted to try to bring it into this like kind of cinematic rock realm where like, you know, it's beautiful and it sounds real pretty and it's really emotional. But at the same time, like you want to absolutely scream your head off, you know, and you want to just like jump all over the place and lose your mind and just like escape for a second.
Yeah, I think
so. I love that you said that because that's literally exactly the experience that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the perfect word for it is emotion, because like, because I've gotten emotional at shows when I've seen bands that I love, but I think especially even like more so for someone who's seeing you for the first time. There's an emotion that's captured with like what y'all are playing and how y'all wrote everything that might not be there for, you know, just a rock band or, you know, someone with a regular form. So yeah, real quick, I'm gonna actually play something. This is what was my favorite from the whole listen through a couple times that I did.
Oh yeah, do you think
was Magna Colosseo? Is it Colosseo? Is that how you say it?
Colosseo,
gotcha.
The Magna Colosseo.
Okay, yeah. So we're gonna listen to Magna Colosseo real quick.
We sanctify the grand design that was built by those who nailed with
come on.
Am I on mute right now?
You're not muted, but that's fine. I was just saying that just because your freaking vocal harmonies are insane.
To bow before it had been done and destroyed the innocence. We're still learning the might each time we grow. Still finding the strength of the solid stone. I know so many trials are to come. storm that we should not face alone. We're still learning to fight with every seed we sow. Still finding the strength that we call our own. How long before we tread upon our fate? Through trials we will become with our lives. Silence. Wait until the immortalized. Given everything.
Could I like give context to the song?
Absolutely.
See everything left to fight.
Okay.
But with no mercy for those before we only serve.
Just don't know if it'll make any sense.
There's a harmony hell. Can you feel the cold dwells in the depths, and it reminds the body road to carry the weight for those who trust to hide. The passing on of failure reigns, defines our future self. But in the end, may we see, we stood more than we fell. Stood more than we fell. With our lives. Silence. Wait until the
Andrew Van Lacey over on the so.
Woo. That
So let me also tell you, because you were asking what you. Sorry, go ahead. My bad.
I was just gonna say, like the songs on this record are really good. Something about that one is just built different to me. I don't know what it is. Like your range on that one and the way the guitars are written and everything. That's a good fucking song.
It's the thanks, dude. I really appreciate that. It's one of my favorites to perform that we've done so far. It is also the most difficult one to perform because it's one of those songs where it's like to hit the high notes you have to relax so much, and sometimes how we're not like selling out 1,000-seat theaters, so we're in like 200 300 cap rooms,
right?
And like your monitors aren't great, so I have to try so hard not to like blow my voice out, just because like you're usually trying to hear yourself from the mains and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I absolutely love performing that song. And then should I give like a little bit, I guess, context of like kind of what the song's about?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I don't want to I don't want to step on your toes during the interview or anything.
No,
so you
Talk
just
away.
tell me what you want, baby. Okay, cool. So the album's called Silent Empire. And the whole album is about Empire, the central character, who is our like female heroine. And it's about her journey through reflection and becoming something more. And so the album, you'll see it's broken down into 3 separate chapters. So there's like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3.
Yeah.
And one thing that we as a band are very passionate about is bringing back the idea of concept album. Where nowadays we have been told by I don't even know how many people that we have to release one song every 6 weeks and like don't release albums and all this horse shit.
Yeah.
And we just don't care. And so the whole idea on the album is that the central character starts from the first chapter, which is she has deconstructed who she was and like kind of her part like in, I guess, like society's problems. And it's very much like ourselves, written into an album. And kind of ourselves facing our own self. And then in chapter 2, it's her going through that journey. And then chapter 3, her basically going through that dark process of self-reflection, becoming something more, and then now pouring into everyone else around her. And so the Magna Colisaeo takes place in chapter 3 when she's on that part of the journey. And so the whole song is about it's about a past generation watching a generation in the arena, and that generation trying to learn the way, trying it's basically that generation now learning its lesson on um actually how to put its hope into action,
Hmm.
instead of making its hope become a negative action that actually causes us to regress. And so that's what that whole song is about. That's why that like whole bridge is in the end may we see we stood more than we fell. And the whole idea is basically we have one or two choices kind of as a generation in the arena, and it's we can either signal that we're going to do all these great things but actually put them into practice in such a negative way that we actually tear things down, or we can actually do it through a way of like hope, uh, love, and peace, and then we can actually push things forward. So that's what that song's about.
Oh, fantastic, man. That's great. I really enjoy, actually. It's funny that you mentioned concept albums. I really love concept albums.
Mhm.
I thought they were awesome. I think it's great to try to, because if you don't know the story going into it, it's great to try to be able to figure out that story that they are clearly
Hmm.
trying to tell through the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that you grew up on the whole metal scene and metalcore and stuff like that, and that's how I
Yeah.
knew that you actually listened to that, because you said metalcore, not screamo. but but
Yeah.
there's a band called Periphery that I listen to, and
Huh?
they put out albums. So it was Periphery, Alpha, and Omega. It was a two-sided album, and that was a
Mm-hmm.
concept album. And I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what it's about, because like
Mm.
the lyrics are so insane, and and they like almost decided to not tell anybody so that they could try to figure it out themselves.
Mm.
But it's still a fantastic album, and I listen to it semi often to like still try to figure it out. I think they went into detail on it a little bit, but I can't remember exactly what they said. But yeah, so I love concept albums. If that's what y'all want to do, man, it's your music. That's the good thing about being independent, is you get to
Oh
do what you want
yeah.
to do.
I mean the whole idea. It's kind of the great challenge, but it's kind of like you want to do a concept album, but at the same time, every song needs to be able to stand alone
Exactly.
in like the story it tells. If you really want to make it to a very big level in terms of like making a great living off of playing your band's music, especially independent, because you're not gonna have a label, helping you distribute, getting you out on radio and all that kind of stuff. And so I think the biggest thing for us is like, okay, if we're gonna do these concept albums, like every single song, it has to be where if someone goes and listens to our music, no matter which song they click on, it punches them right in the face
Right.
with the sound that they want to hear. And I think that's kind of the biggest challenge in terms of songwriting and dynamics and figuring out where you need to pull, where you need to pull back, where you're doing too much. Just kind of the thing where it's like, where does it not serve the song? And I think that's a place where I do think as a band, we've become I think we've actually become very good at, which is we ask ourselves, like, does this serve the song, or are we just showing off?
Right.
And it's like, okay, oh, we're just showing off. Okay, well then let's get that shit out of there, because it is completely taking away from the listener what we're trying to convey.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean,
and I do think it's something that we're getting better and better at.
yeah. No, I agree 100%. Just speaking from an instrumentalist standpoint, when I'm writing, like I said, Brandon writes everything, but when I'm kind of rewriting the drum parts, I want it to favor the song. I want it to make the song even better than it already is, and by not
Yeah.
overplaying and just going insane, playing crazy double kick fills and crap like that, So there's
Yep.
definitely a strategy and a what's the word I'm looking for? A talent that comes with being able to write cohesive things that aren't just five musicians doing whatever the hell they want for 3 minutes and making noise, and then it's like kind of a song, but when it all makes sense together, that makes it 10 times better.
100%. And I think that's our biggest drive, especially as an independent band, is we want people, when they hear it, that it sounds like we are together.
Right.
It does not sound like we are three separate people putting down three separate things and trying to create a song.
Right.
We want it to sound like it's like one kind of like one voice in terms of sound, in terms of wall of like production, vocals, all that kind of stuff.
Right. All right, real quick, I do have a small little break in the stream that I gotta read here.
Oh,
so a
that's cool, dude.
little ad that we got going on. So we want to let you know that this podcast is fueled by Glitch Energy. We play hard, and they work even harder to bring us the best supplement on the market. Be sure to use code BLACKFLAME at checkout to get 20% off of your total order. 100% of the revenue goes to content creators of Black Flame. To be sure to click the link in the chat and go support the org. We love you, Glitch. You guys are awesome. Products are awesome. And
big sponsorship, son.
Yes,
Let's go.
sir. Yes, sir.
Let's go.
There you go. There's that link in chat, guys. We hope that you guys enjoy their products. I know that we all do. Be sure to get that starter pack and get energized, because not only does it do that, that shit tastes good.
I need to try some. I need to
I
get
can't.
some.
I can't even lie.
Flame's doing big things.
Yeah, dude, for real, man. I joined them not too long ago to do this podcast, and I've been pretty mind blown at how hard they're going in the paint when it comes to getting sponsorships and partnerships.
I love the hustle, man. Yeah, I love that grind. Yeah.
Big things, Trauma says. Exactly, my friend. All right, so kind of a funny question here. What is the most useless talent that you have?
The most useless talent I have? Oh God, I got a lot. I mean, I do. Yeah, I have a lot of I don't know if it's necessarily a talent. I know a lot about the Star Wars extended universe, not the Legends universe that Disney tried to call it after they decided to wipe out all the greatness that was the Star Wars extended universe.
Right.
And I probably know a lifetime of information that doesn't even matter anymore because it's not even canon anymore. So that's probably the most pointless. Also, I've been diving really deep into the Silmarillion again. I like reading Tolkien a lot when I'm writing.
Right.
And so I probably have a lot of worthless knowledge about the First and Second Age that will never serve me, but I guess it serves songwriting a little bit.
No, yeah, for sure. Yeah, shit, you don't have to tell anybody about it. You just start writing lyrics that are exponentially better because of the vocabulary that you get from reading stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. I listened to a lot of podcasts. There was actually probably a year stretch where I basically stopped listening to music altogether and just listened to podcasts. It wasn't anything deep. I listened to Joe Rogan, Rooster Teeth podcast, comedy stuff and, science stuff, that kind of thing. But I would say that is where I get literally every single bit of information that no one gives a shit about. Like I'll be talking to my girlfriend and like just go on this tangent and she'll be like, why do you know that? Just, I don't know. It's interesting. Hey. Like,
yep. Worthless information is fun.
Very true. Very true. I enjoy it very much. And you said the Star Wars stuff is, I wouldn't call that useless. There are some people who would, but I know that there are plenty of people who would not call that useless information.
Yeah, I guess it's just useless because Disney decided to make it not canon. So it's like that whole world that like I dove into and learned about. It's like, oh, okay, so this actually isn't the actual story anymore. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I see a kitty cat. There's a cat.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's mad because I haven't fed her yet, but she's fine.
Dude,
she's fine.
Me and Lexus will, because one of our cat, his name's Ghost. That's my cat. He's not fat. He's like an average sized cat. He's actually kind of small, but Zuna is a fat ass, and like we'll walk out of the room and wake up, and she'll just start going crazy and meowing at us, and like it's like, dude, I promise you could stand to like skip a couple meals, man. Like, calm down.
So can our cat. She's thick.
Yeah, she looks floofy, so that helps her cause a little bit.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like the internet and social media has kind of influenced the music industry, and where has that taken it? What are your opinions on that?
Well, it's interesting. So it's a really good question, because actually as a band, we're trying to figure this out right now. I mean, you know, you and I literally like didn't like barely talk before this, but so as a band, we are now like right now we're booking our own album tour for August.
Nice.
And you know, we're trying to like get our Spotify numbers up and like really try to gain new listeners, and you know, we're really trying to figure out a way to get into like that next level of market.
Yep.
So we can, you know, because we want to play bigger shows and we want to be more successful and get our sound out there. You know, no bullshit. I know when like I feel like a lot of, I guess, music artists, you know, they're like, no, it's not about like the numbers. Like, I just want to like play. I'm like, that's bullshit. Everyone
Yeah.
wants to make a living off of what they love to do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's bullshit.
It's like the money,
and I don't.
the money's cool, and obviously you want to make, because people are always like, you know, oh, it's not about the money. It's like, well, you want to make a living, right? You want to pay bills while doing
Exactly.
this. So yes, the money is a big thing with it. It might not be, because I think that people who see musicians and get into music strictly for the money are absolute morons, because you will go years of your life being completely broke.
Trust me, I am a direct representation of
yes,
that.
like I promise you, you will be broke for a very, very, very long time, and most likely not make it. That's just how it goes. Yeah. But like the people who do make it can make a living, and that's the goal.
Yeah, we've been a band officially for 6 years now, and I have made negative amount of a lot of money. So anyone watching this and you're wanting to start your own band and get into it, especially if you want to go independent,
yeah,
hey, go for it, but just be prepared to put everything that you make back into it, because that's what's going to happen. Yeah, and that's okay. It's great. It's a part of the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even answering your question, like, you know, we're even in booking this tour, you know, so many venues now are relying upon Spotify numbers in order to book you out. And for us, it's been kind of a thing, because like we had a lot of monthly listeners, but now it's like dropped a bunch. So it's like you can either let that stress you out, or you can just be like, no, this is a part of the journey. Like that, it just means you have to constantly be maneuvering with social media and the internet, because the algorithms are always changing.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's always something new that you have to relearn. And so, you know, even in terms of Spotify, like the algorithm changes, and then all of a sudden your songs are getting taken off playlists, and you're like, shit, now I got to completely like reroute, and now we have to set up new ads and how to do those new ads. So it's funny, because when social media first initially came on the scene in terms of pumping out new artists, you know, people were like, it's so much easier for like unknown artists to get big. But now labels have now cornered like how to basically run social media in terms of the artists that they sign now, that it's actually very difficult to actually get through on social media now if you are an independent band really trying to break through with a song. Because for us, you know, sync has become probably our most realistic possibility in terms of like really making this like our sustainable living, which sync is, for anyone watching, is like trailer placements, commercial placements, TV shows, movies, that kind of stuff. And we have been in the top 3 of a lot of placements. And like, you know, they'll look at your socials and stuff. They want to see what the draw is. And then a label will come in and they're going to pick the song from that label, because that label is owned by the same conglomerate that owns the movie studio and stuff like that. So, and I'm not complaining, because we chose to be independent. So
yeah, no,
we chose
for sure.
this shit. So we chose to get like stomped on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for us, it's just gonna make that victory that much sweeter. Because I can tell you that we're definitely gonna have some placements that are coming, which I'm very excited about. But it's gonna make those wins even more sweet, and it's gonna make like all the sacrifice that all 3 of us have done for the last 6 years that much more sweet, because we know that we earned every damn moment that we have hustled for, of all the money that's been put in, all the, you know, the crappy shows. You know, we've been kicked off tours, like, which, you know, I have all kinds of hilarious stories about that. But like, you know, we've had so many moments where like we've just been like absolutely gotten the shit beat out of us.
Yeah.
And we refused to quit, because we believed in the sound that we were creating, and we believed in like the listeners that we were generating, and we saw the hype that they were giving us, and we knew we were small, but like we were like, shit, we're mighty. Like, we are small.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But we know that if we can figure out how to get to that next level, like we are going to blow up. And so I guess to answer your question is, it is a constant maneuvering around whatever the new algorithm is. And honestly, we're not very good at it. Like, no BS. Like, we're
Dude,
not very
you
good at it.
got to be a special kind of psychotic to get good at that stuff, because that's like looking at the stock market every day. It's like, because it's always changing.
Yeah.
And you just got to like look at these levels and numbers and graphs, and it's always different.
Oh, and anyone who might be watching this that is going out on their own to like start their own music career or something, like, it is going to become the most frustrating thing, and you're going to get stressed, and it's going to make you depressed because you feel like it's all working against you.
Mhm.
But just keep your ass going.
Yep.
Like, just keep your ass going. Focus on the product. Trust that you're making good music. Like, and then like reach into markets that you feel like other independent acts aren't reaching into, which is, I mean, that's why I started streaming. I started streaming very recently. But the whole reason was because there was a lot of streamers that were using our music, and they were friends of mine. And then I had a good friend who's, he's relatively like he's a big streamer, and he finally asked me, he was like, dude, why aren't you streaming?
Yeah.
He was like, you're already a gamer. Like, you already love this world. Like, those are your people. Like, why aren't you just like throwing yourself into that mix if you're so annoyed by all these algorithms? Like, why don't you put yourself in a place where an algorithm doesn't matter?
Yeah.
Like, just put yourself in a place where you can promote yourself and just start drawing people. And I was
Yeah.
like, shit, you're right. Like, you're right.
No,
this
for
is
sure.
one thing that like I'm not hustling.
I think that,
and so that's what got me to jump into Twitch.
yeah, I think that was probably the biggest escape for most music artists this past year and a half, just because everything that happened, and because especially in the metal scene, you're not a top 40 artist. Like, you're not making millions of dollars from Spotify streams and whatever. Like, you can make a living, sure, maybe, if you're big enough. But most of the time, the label gets all your money. You have to sell merch on tour to make any money.
Yep.
And obviously no tours were happening for forever. And so, like, so many of the bands that I listened to, so many of the vocalists, the drummers, all that stuff started streaming on Twitch. And that has helped them, like, stay afloat in this past year and a half. And I think that, like, people underestimate how much of a missed market it could be if you have people who will come watch you and support you. It's absolutely an avenue to take and be successful in.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Totally agree.
So you mentioned funny tour and show stories. So one of the questions I had was anything funny, scary, terrible,
man,
anything like that. You're more than welcome to tell as many stories as you want.
Okay, I mean, I obviously I don't know how long this pod is, but like, I have, I guess when you're like a real independent band, I mean, you just have stories for days of just, shit hitting the fan, or like, just like hilarious, ridiculous experiences with other bands. Yeah, I mean, I have so many. I will say, okay, I'll tell one story, but I also want to kind of preface it with like, it's not like a sob story. Don't feel bad for us, because we don't want that, because that's not what our band's about anyways. And I will say, like, the most beautiful thing about all three of us, I think, in the band, is that when shit hits the fan, or things go wrong, none of us ever go at each other. It never ever turns us against each other. And that's one thing that I've always appreciated, especially about my two bandmates, is like, we all take it on the chin collectively. And we always approach it with like almost like a smile on our face, and just like, hey, we asked for this. Like, look, we've gotten, not that it matters, but like, we've gotten the label offers, we've had the meetings, and we've turned them down. And then this shit happened, like this, and then this happened, and then this happened. So it's like, we have asked for these experiences. And so I guess prefacing with that, so don't feel bad. So, so one story is, so we got asked to open on a U.S. tour for an artist, for a music artist that will go unnamed, for obvious reasons, because we're not dicks. And we were super pumped, because for us, like, that's a huge opportunity, right? Like,
right, of course.
Wow, we're gonna open up for, we're gonna do 20 dates, and this can be gigantic for us. And we had just finished, I think we had just finished our first single, that was going to be from our Silent Empire album, which was Odyssey. And it had done really well, and we had gained a lot of new like listeners from it, and I was super pumped. And we got offered to open for this act on a US tour, and I'm like, guys, this is it. Like, because we our whole focus is because we're independent, our live show is the only way for us to really gain new listeners. And we were like, guys, we are now going to be getting put in front of thousands of people. This is it. You know, it's like, this is our made it moment.
That's
we're
the
gonna
dream.
crush
Yeah.
this shit.
Yeah. You get that offer and you're like,
dream,
all right,
yeah.
here we go. That's it. This is where it starts.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, we're pumped as shit, right? Like, we're so ready to go. And so, you know, they send us the contract and we're like, whoa, this is really happening. Oh my gosh, like, this is really happening. We're like about a month out and they like release the dates and we're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, guys, we are making it. We're making it. And so, you know, we're rehearsing, like, our set sounds so good. We're so ready to go. And you know, the job of the opening band is to, one, like, either just be silent on the road or only add value. And then at the show, your job is to absolutely light the crowd up. So that way, when the headliner comes on, they don't have to do anything.
Yep.
They can literally come on and just crush it.
Yeah. Warm them up.
And we knew that and we were aware and we were like, yeah, exactly. And we were like, okay, that's our job and that's what we're going to do. So we get the contract, they announce the dates, you know, it's super hype. And then all of a sudden, like, the tickets come out, but, you know, like, the artist isn't promoting the tickets at all. And then, like, no one's really promoting the shows. And we're like, hey, guys, like, we know we're just the opener, but, like, you know, this is kind of weird that, you know, no one is promoting the tickets.
Right.
And it turned out that the artist felt like they didn't need to promote the show because people should just come anyways. But as a band, we were like, well, how can people get tickets to your show if they don't know that you're going to be there?
Yeah.
That's kind of a, you know, like, you got to hustle your own tour.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can't announce a tour and
ego.
expect people to know where it's going to be.
There's a clear ego that has been developed.
Yeah,
so
100%. So, you know, we're like, okay, this already isn't looking good, but it's all right. Like, we're still going to kill it. We're still going to get in front of a lot of people. And then all of a sudden, like, some shows would get scratched and then new cities would be announced. And then they wouldn't be announced, though, publicly. They'd be announced to us. And we were like, okay, well, wait, are you guys promoting this? And then they let us know, like, hey, we're going to do the West Coast tour first. I'm like, awesome, cool. Then all of a sudden, like, 2 West Coast shows got pulled back. And we're like, okay, that's fine. Like, it's still like 8 dates. Like, this is going to be great. Like, that's cool. Like, 8 dates on the West Coast. Perfect. That's cool. Like, let's do it. So we take off and we go to the first show. And this is kind of a long story, but I swear it's funny and it has a lot of really good points. So anytime you feel like I'm getting long-winded, just push me along.
You are golden.
All right. So we have our first show. We go up. We're playing Portland. Or Portland? Maybe not. I think it was Portland. And we're supposed to be at this venue. You know, there's already been a lot of drama, not kind of from us, but what we have had from the team that was overseeing everything with the artist.
Right.
They had like a lot of intermixing drama in their crew because no one had announced the tickets and the artist didn't want to feel like they had to promote the show, and then the team was getting mad because, like, they were spending money on this tour, blah blah blah. And we were on the outside as this independent rock band being like, guys, like, we just want to play, like, I don't know, like,
I just want to play music, man.
Like, to the point to where we were just like, hey, put the whole band in like one room, like, we'll cut down like our costs, like, don't worry about it, like, you know, we don't care. We've slept on, you know, I slept on a floor in LA for 2 years. I don't give a shit. Like, put me in a hotel room with my bandmates and we'll all just sleep there. We don't care. We'll sleep in the van. We'll sleep outside, whatever, urban camping.
Right.
So we go to play Portland. We show up to this venue and, like, it's been the whole, like, traveling there was super awkward because no one was talking to each other except for us as bandmates just talking. So we were like, guys, we're just going to stay in our own kind of circle. Let's do our job. And let's just not even worry about kind of what goes on, you know, at the top and, like, with all, you know, the artists, like, team and stuff. Let's just stay on the outside and, like, let's love each other. Let's love on, like, these new listeners we make. Let's bring them an epic show. And then we're just going to leave it at that. So everyone on the band agreed, like, hey, we're just going to, like, we're going to make the most of this.
Right.
And we're going to love it. And we're going to appreciate it. So we get up to Portland and we go into the venue and it looks awesome. And I'm like, this is dope. No one is telling us how many tickets have been sold. And we know why. You know, we all know why. Because we all know that the show hasn't been. We know that none of the tours been promoted. And so I'm like, so no one from, like, their management or anything is telling us how many have been sold. And I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Appreciate
for
you following, man.
I'm
Thank
like,
you.
Like, guys, like, we're you know, we're just there to play for whoever shows up. So it doesn't matter. It's a good experience for us. So we go into this theater. It's freaking beautiful. I'm like, hey, all right, this is cool. Breath of fresh air. This venue's dope. We're super pumped. And then the venue manager comes in and goes, hey, are you guys with blah, blah, blah? And they're like, who are you? And I was like, we're City of Sound. They're like, oh, you're City of Sound, the opening act. And I was like, yes, sir. And he was like, okay, come here. Let me show you where you guys are playing. And Andrew Lacey and I kind of look at each other like, oh, interesting. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, wait, we're not playing. I thought we were playing this venue. That's what it said on the tickets. They were like, oh, no. They booked out the venue next door. They had booked out the wrong venue by accident.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And they ended up booking out the cafe that was connected to the venue next door. And so we walk in, and I shit you not, this is a cafe that holds maybe 50 people, possibly.
Oh my God.
And we walk in, and you know, we kind of like start chuckling because we already knew that there was going to be, you know, that this tour was going to be a shitstorm because of how the promotion went and all the drama with like the headlining artist team and everything. So we kind of chuckled to ourselves, and I still remember Andrew and I looked at each other and we were like, hey, it doesn't matter. We're going to crush this.
Yeah.
Like,
play your heart out.
I don't give a shit.
Play your heart out.
Yep. And then they showed us the stage, and it was, you know, it's a cafe, so it's for acoustic acts. So they have two very small, you know, like PA monitors, and we have a full-blown in-ear like mixing system for the headliner and for us as the opener. Like we have full, like we traveled with full, you know, there was like 2 vans, like the bus, like full equipment to set up in this tiny little cafe.
Yes.
So we're like, whoa. And there's a picture from this show that's amazing. And I think it just kind of proves the size. But so the stage was like 9 by 9. And so we were like, okay, let's go. Like, this is a shit show, but we're going to absolutely like destroy it. So we go in to do sound check. The poor sound engineers, giant cables going across this cafe. And like the headlining artist is just mad as hell. But I'm like, yeah, but like, you know, this is all your fault. Like, all y'all were in on like these bookings. And if you would have promoted the show, we would have realized. Yeah, like, I don't know what you want us to say, but, you know, we're like, we're not going to do any of that. You know, they were like having like mad fest, like in the cafe at each other and going at each other. But we're like, nope, we got a sound check. We got to put on an epic show. We have no idea how many tickets are sold. It doesn't matter. So we do our sound check, and, you know, obviously, like, you ain't going to hear shit in the cafe. And like with our sound in a tiny little coffee shop, like, I had no idea what that was going to sound like.
Right.
I had no idea what that was going to sound like. All of a sudden, our guitarist parents, who are from Seattle, show up. And we were like, oh no. They had never seen us play live before.
Oh,
and they were so excited to come see us on tour. Like,
God.
came to Portland, walk into this cafe and being like, wait, this is where you guys are playing? I thought this was like a huge tour that you're opening for. And we're like, oh yeah, us too. So while we're sound checking, all of a sudden, I shit you not, like, this is all true. This is just one of the cities. All of a sudden we hear next to like the cafe wall, we hear
oh my God.
Like, what's going on? We walked through the doorway into like the main theater that we were supposed to play in, and there was a DJ booked that night. And I was like, this is amazing. This is beautiful. Like, this is exactly what we got into music for, like, for this moment. And so again, we're just like, hey, it is what it is, whatever. You know, like the headlining artists went up to do like the sound check, you know, just like throwing fits, you know, unhappy, whatever, crashing on themselves. The whole team's panicking. And we're like, we don't give a shit. You know, they have like buckets of merch for like the headlining artists. So they set up across like the wall of the cafe because it's a coffee shop. You know, there's people sitting in the coffee shop and they're just like, what is going on?
Yeah, they're there to have coffee.
A whole tour just showed up. Yeah, in a 50 cap room. And so we get ready to do the show, and thank God we weren't playing that theater, because ended up only like 100 tickets were sold.
Oh,
and that theater held probably 500, 700. So that would have just been so, I mean, for us it would have been embarrassing, because I'm like, who cares? None of these people know who we are. We're gonna make new listeners no matter what.
Yeah.
But just in terms of in terms of the chaos that was already going on with this team and this headliner and everything, like it would have just added so much fuel to the fire. So we get up to play, and we were opening. We have an instrumental on our album that's called In the Beginning. We were starting with it, and it was like really beautiful, but like there's no lights, right? Because it's a cafe.
Yeah.
So like there was a lighting rig, but they couldn't set up the lighting rig because there was not enough outlets or power to run like the lighting. So we were like, all right, I guess we're gonna play the rock show with house lights and just like go for this shit. Like this is pretty wild. I don't know what
Been there, done that, man.
So there's no, oh yeah, right. And there's no green room. So like we set up and then we just walked from the back of the cafe and then walked up to like this tiny little stage. And then we're like, we're playing a rock show. Let's go. So we start the song. And apparently at some point when I had walked off the stage, I must have bumped my keyboard because for some reason it like changed. I have like a preset City of Sound piano.
Right.
That's like EQ'd in and everything. I must have like hit something, or somebody must have touched something. I don't know. But it was set to like this weird, like phalangey, like electric piano. And so we're starting with the song. So we're starting the show off. I think we're starting the show off with our song Race to the Sea. And we like started the song off.
Banger,
and
by
the
the way.
song starts with Andrew, and then it's a big drum fill. Thank you. Thank you. And you know, it lands right into these big octave pianos, right? So I go and I hit the very first octave, and I shit you not, all you hear is
Oh my god.
and I just stop, and we actually all start kind of laughing, and then like everyone kind of thought it was funny, and it actually kind of totally broke the ice. And then we ended up having an absolute epic show. It was very awkward because we literally had like, there were people there that were like standing in the booths because there was no room in this cafe. So we literally had people standing up in booths, like moving tables and chairs of the cafe away so there was a standing room for themselves. Like, I can't explain the awkwardness of what the actual show was, but it ended up going really well. It ended up going really, really well. And then we ended up having a great time. Like, we did end up calling Portland Fail City, not because of Portland, but just because of all the wacky shit that went down that day.
Yeah.
With the venue. Because, you know, obviously, you know, we witnessed all kinds of drama and all kinds of ridiculousness. And so we got done with Portland, whatever. And then we ended up like going to Seattle, and it was an awesome show. But it was all kind of the same story. Like, everything was completely unorganized.
Yeah.
And just an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
But what we noticed was, after every show we played, like our numbers were skyrocketing, and we were like, hey, who cares? Like, who cares if this is a shit show? Like, guys, we're doing it. Like, our live performance is bringing people. So we started getting excited, right? Because we're adding like, you know, we're adding thousands of new listeners, and like word's getting out, and we're like, guys, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if this is a shit show. Like, we're doing it. We're making it.
Right.
So we get down. So I swear I'm almost done with the story. We get down through San Francisco. The shows go great. You know, like we're creating a whole new like listener base, which we're super excited about. And then all of a sudden, the headliner announces they're going to do another show in LA. And we're like, wait, what? This is like 2 days before. And I'm like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, we're just going to do another show. But I'm like, but you haven't even promoted the first show. How are you going to do a second show? We haven't even promoted the first
Where
show,
are
but
the
you guys
people
aren't telling us how
gonna
many
come
tickets
from
are.
for
Like,
the
wait,
second show?
what's going on? Oh, yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, I don't even know. Like, this is crazy. And like, you know, I'm not going to get too into it, but the things we witnessed on this leg of the tour with this team and this headliner, it was just, I guess all I could say is it was stupid shit. And so we already know, like, this is just chaos. So they announced the second show, and I'm like, all right, I guess we're going to play the second show. Like, screw it. Let's do it. You know, we do have like a good following in LA, just because that's where we're based out of. So like, we know that we can sell out a decent show in LA. So we're like, screw it. Let's do it. So we announced it, you know, just 2 days before. Thank God, like, we had a lot of people that were pumped. And I think it was because of the momentum we had carrying with us on this first leg. So we go to play that show in LA. You know, we've done these dates. It's already chaos. And even before the show, we were at this really cool venue called Swing House, and it was really dope. It was real nice. And I was like, this is going to be great. We have no idea how many tickets are sold because no one wants to tell us what's going on. But fits are being thrown by people that we're witnessing, and we're like, oh no, like, this is going to erupt into like just a volcanic eruption. Like, this is just, you could feel the tension boiling throughout the tour with like the headliner and their team and like all these other people. And I'm like, man, shit's gonna explode. And we all know it. And, you know, a part of us was kind of like, you know, part of us was like, yeah, they kind of all deserve it.
Yeah, no,
But a part
for
of us
sure.
was also like, we want this to keep going because it's such good momentum. Yeah. And so we go up to play our set. Thank God we had so many of our listeners show up because they are the absolute best and they are absolute savages. They showed up for us on 2 days' notice, and it was awesome. We went up to play to the show. The show was just like a banger of an opening set. People were super hyped. They were super loud. And we were like, ooh, all right. Like, you know what? This is great. It doesn't matter. Let's be thankful. Like, we are blessed. We're on a US tour. It doesn't matter how crappy it is from the top. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we get off our set, you know, and we're super pumped, right? Because you know how it is. Whenever you get done with a set that you know you crush, like you're lit up. Like you're hyped.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you're ready to go. Yeah, you're just ready to go. So the headliner sets up, and I guess you would say that the set didn't go super well. I guess you would say. I guess that's a nice way. But the issue was that because so many of our listeners showed up, when we got done, they left.
Yep.
And so, you know, yeah. And so, you know, when you don't promote your own show, you know, you're not going to have your people show up. And so, you know, when the final act went out there, you know, the room had emptied out quite a bit. And also the set just didn't go well.
Right.
It just didn't go well. I don't know how else to say that without being mean and talking shit. So after the set, you know, we were in the green room and we were all like happy, and they came back, like, you know, their team, and it was just like a mad fest. Like people were furious, and we were just sitting there like, this is super awkward. You know, and like the head act came down and was like, City of Sound might as well fucking be headlining this tour, you know, just like furious, you know, just mad. Even though I'm like, I mean, like, you're mad at your team, but like, you still haven't promoted one show and it's been 2 months. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Like, like you gotta hustle your own shit. Like, even Justin Timberlake promotes his shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Beyonce promotes her shit.
No
like, why are you not promoting your shows?
There's no artist big enough or too big to not promote their own music and their own live shows. It just doesn't exist.
Of course. Like, yeah. So that moment happened. It was real awkward, and it was like that whole team had like a throwdown in the green room right in front of us, and we were like, we got to get our ass out of here, because the East Coast tour was happening a week from then when we went to the East Coast, and we were supposed to do I think 8 dates on the East Coast. So we're like, all right, let's get out of this shit. You know, and obviously I'm not going deeper into like kind of all the things that happened, but I guess you just trust me when I say it was wild. It was wild. It was crazy. It was stuff that I would never condone someone representing themselves in such a way.
Yeah.
So we just got out of there and we're like, screw it. We put on a hell of a show. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So very next day I get a call from the tour manager, and the tour manager lets me know, this is where I'm going to end the story because I'm already long-winded. So the tour manager calls me and he's like, hey man, he's like, can I talk to you for a second? I'm like, yeah. He was like, tour's been canceled. And I was like, yep. Kind of felt like that was coming. He was like, tour's been canceled. He was like, hey, I'm just gonna let you know though, like, your band's incredible. You guys are amazing. Like, you're gonna make it. He was like, I can't even explain to you how good like your set is. You know, he was very encouraging, right?
Right.
And so I'm like,
right.
hey, like, thank you, man. Thank you for letting me know. And he was like, I want to work with you in the future. Let's figure out another tour to do, blah, blah, blah. But like, the whole US tour is canceled, which also sucks, you know, because like in the Midwest, which is like where I'm from, like I had a lot of family, you know, I have a lot of family on the family farm that wants to come see my band play in Chicago, you know, like that kind of stuff. So I was like, all right, I guess we're not going to Chicago or Nashville, whatever. So they call me, tell me, I'm like, well, it's a bummer. So I call the band and I'm like, hey guys, look, they're going to give us our payout for the West Coast tour, but like whole tour's been canceled. The artist is having like a chaos fest, I guess, going down. And it's just been like a breakdown.
Crisis.
Everything's in chaos. Very much so. And so we're like, hey, whatever. I don't even care. And I was like, it's cool. Like, we're going to figure something out. The next day, there's a live stream, and it's with the headlining act. And I just decided to like kind of check in on it. I don't know why. I think just because like I kind of smelled bullshit in the water.
Right.
And I was like, something isn't right. Like something's weird. So I get on the live stream and the headliner gives this really sob story about how hard the tour's been. And like, you know, like being in this place, it's just like, it's just been really difficult on me and blah, blah, blah. You know, and I'm just rolling my eyes, be like, you mean you created all that difficulty and bullshit?
Right.
And I'm kind of sitting there and to preface, right? So like the band, we have had nothing to do with like any of like the chaos going on. So we had just kind of separated ourselves. We played our set and then we were very nice to everyone. And then we just kind of got out of the way because that's what you're supposed to do as the opener.
Yeah,
no one,
for sure.
No one who's on the headliners team really cares about you anyways, right? Like you just kind of mind your own business.
You show up, you do your thing, and then
they drop a bomb and say 100%. And then they drop a bomb and say that City of Sound has said that they're not going to be able to make the rest of the tour. And I'm watching, I'm like, oh, you little
yikes.
Shit. And I'm sitting there watching this. And I, you know, of course, naturally, I'm just getting real mad.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying anything yet. I'm just like sitting there watching this shit. Yeah. Like, one, because like my band has been like, and no bullshit, like my band has been the perfect representation of like how an opener should act. Like has been so like compromising in any place we needed to compromise, has killed the sets, has like brought it, like has helped out with ticket sales, blah, blah, blah. So they say that we won't be able to make the tour, but they're going to still go on tour, but do an acoustic tour, you know, and like how sad they were that we weren't able to do the rest of the US tour and like all this shit. So then we had listeners then being like, I can't believe you're like not going on the rest of the tour. Like we had bought tickets to come see you guys. Like that's the only reason, like what's going
on? Oh, man.
All of a sudden we're left with doing all this damage control. And then, so I call that tour manager, right? Cause you know, I'm mad as hell, obviously, you know, like those, not just in the case of like my band has been cut from a tour, but because like now you're coming after like my people, like my two bandmates are my best friends. And like, now you're shitting on all the work that we've been putting in and all this stuff. Right. So I call the tour manager, he picks up and, you know, I go off the rails. Cause look, our music is all about hope and love 100%. But man, if you come after my people, like I'm going to lose my shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, I kind of let my feelings be known. And then all of a sudden, you know, he got real quiet and he just goes, Jordan, he like takes a deep breath and he just goes, and I shit you not. He goes, you guys put on a great show. You put on too good of a show, and the artists did not feel like they could follow up with what you were doing. So I'm going to tell you right now that you guys are getting cut because of your performance. And I went real silent on the phone. And then I lost it. I was so mad. Like
oh my God.
I was so pissed.
I don't know if you're like, I don't know if you have the stream pulled up.
No, that's 100% true. I'm not trying to.
But my jaw is on the floor right now. Because that's insane. I have never heard that in my entire life.
And I'm not trying to like. I'm not trying to like talk the band up either. Like it's 100% true. That's literally exactly what happened. No bullshit. Like no BS. That's exactly what happened. And so I kind of went off and then got real quiet again. And then this dude has the audacity to go, but I still want to work with you guys in the future and like get a tour with you guys. And I just hung up on him. I was like, you little shit. Like, of course not.
It's like, hey man, listen,
it was so funny and it was weird.
I know we screwed you over, but you know, I'd love to capitalize on your talent and make the money that I need to make just so that you guys can, you know, go across the country and do your thing. But you know, it's cool, but whatever.
Especially when like we had the whole month booked out, you know, to do that. So everyone had like taken time off their jobs and everyone had like, you know, everyone had scheduled around it, everything, like even with their money. I mean, it was just like such a shit show. And man, there are so many stories from that first leg of that tour that are so funny and hilarious. And in ways, once we look back, we realize how many ways they were trying to get us to quit.
Yeah.
Like after we played Seattle, that night after playing the set, they actually told us that we would have to drive one of the vans back as a band to Portland and fly out of Portland because that's where the drop off was for the band.
Interesting.
And so we woke up at like 4 a.m. after the Seattle show. Yeah, interesting. And so we woke up at like 4 a.m. from the Seattle show and drove the van as a band back to the Portland airport, and then flew out of Portland separate from everyone else
Oh my god.
down to San Francisco.
It's
it's hilarious.
It's like a
it's funny.
boss
right?
just like
It's
cutting your hours.
Yeah, oh yeah. It was such a funny experience. But the one cherry on top is, right, the very day after we got cut, we were so mad that we said screw it, and we booked out our own venue without any promoter in Los Angeles, at the Rose Theater. This place
Nice.
that wasn't even a theater. We rented out our own sound equipment, like our own lighting, everything, and we ended up double selling out the place, and because then our listeners were pissed.
Yeah,
Like
for
they
sure.
were mad because they could tell that there was something up, right? And so they ended up showing up in mass at like that very next show and just having an awesome, like epic show, that like kept us going for the rest of the year and like kept us like booking shows after that. So, it has like a great ending. Like it has a great cherry on top of the ending. But in terms of an independent band, I know I was just very long-winded with that story, but you get what you ask for. Like,
Yeah. There's a territory there that comes with being independent and not having the management team to handle everything, and
Yeah.
having contracts given to you instead of giving someone a contract. But I mean,
oh yeah,
when it comes to the success as an independent band, it's way better knowing that you did that basically on your own, and you hustled and did what you had to do to make your dreams come true. And that sounds cheesy as hell, but like that's just the reality of it.
yeah. No, you're totally right. And honestly, it taught us a lot about booking and how and everything not to do.
Yeah,
With the team that you surround yourself with.
exactly. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it really showed us like we don't want that kind of person or that kind of person.
Yeah, for sure. Well, all right, man. So after that fantastic story, we'll call it there.
Yeah, sorry, I just went.
no,
I just
no,
went so,
no,
I went
no,
so
dude.
long on a tangent.
That was we have you on the podcast for a reason, to talk to us. So the story was totally fine, but we'll end it on a really good story there. So real quick, where can we find you, the band? What's next for you guys? What's going on with the band and you?
Yeah, you guys can find us on Spotify, City of Sound. You'll know it's us, because you'll see our album cover of a girl on fire, right on the front.
True.
Definitely go check out our Spotify or our Apple Music. Those are the two spots that help us the most with booking right now. You can find us on City of Sound Music on Instagram, The City of Sound on Twitter. Yeah, and then the other thing, we're playing our first show back June 24th in Los Angeles. We're headlining at El Cid. Can't wait for that. So excited.
Hell yeah,
I'm very
dude.
pumped for that show. And then, yeah, we're booking out the Silent Empire tour right now in August. We have the SLC tickets already set up. We have Colorado Springs booked out. We're working on Austin, and then we're doing San Diego, Huntington Beach, and Los Angeles for the first leg. Everything is booked out by us. Everything is scheduled by us. All the merch, everything is going to be prepared by us. So if
Hell
you're in
yeah.
those cities, yeah, come hang out. And then I'm also, I stream 3 times a week now, from Righteous J. So to come on my stream, the whole point of it is literally to spam the band. There is no other point. I just play games and I just spam the band
Yeah.
nonstop
So,
to everybody on the stream.
BF Shade asked, he said, ask Jordan if he would wear a Black Flame bomber jacket to his shows.
Oh hell yeah, I mean, kind of my look is like I basically wear a jacket and no shirt underneath it. So Shade, if you send me a Black Flame jacket, I'll wear that shit 100%.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, man, yeah,
absolutely.
As soon as that tour gets announced, you will most likely see me at one of those, because I'm extremely ready to see shows again, and I definitely would like to see you
Where are
guys
you
play.
at right now?
I live in College Station, Texas.
Oh yeah, you said you were in Texas. All right, well, how close is that to Austin?
Like an hour and a half ish.
Well, once we get this Austin date booked in August, I'll put you on the list.
Oh fuck yeah, hell yeah, bro. Hey, this
Yeah,
is why
dude,
I do this
100%.
is why I do the podcast, guys. Just so you guys know, just so I can get free guest list spots. I just want you guys to know that I'm being fully transparent. That's why I did this.
Oh, dude, I'll 100% put you on the list. 100%. And hey, if you ever want another funny story, this was super fun for me, man. So if you ever want me to jump back on and just give a ridiculous story time with #frontman syndrome, like just let me know, dude. I'll jump on. We can hang out.
Absolutely, man.
Thanks for letting me word vomit.
Yeah, no, thank you for being here. We're happy to have you. I do not doubt that we will most likely have you again, probably in the near future. I really look forward to it. It was awesome talking to you, brother.
Oh, dude, thank you so much. This was great.